We were based at Eindhoven in Holland, and we took off on the morning of February the 24th at about 10:20 in the morning. Our primary target was a rail junction just west of Munster in Germany. But when we got there, the weather was not favorable. There was too much stratus cloud low down, so that we couldn't dive on the target. So we went to our secondary target in northern Holland. It was a railway line running northwest from this town towards Groningen, and we dived on it, the four of us. We flew in sections of four, and I was number 3. On the way down, there was you could see a lot of 40 millimeter shot that these shells were set to explode at a certain altitude, and the sky was full of them. And we dove through this stuff, and which was quite common and not at all what you might think, because it was so common. An exploded shell was no concern to you. So you dove through it. And on the way down, I felt a thump and immediately smelt glycol, which I knew therefore that I had been hit in the radiator. And the glycol, or coolant of the engine, was just being blown out. And so I continued on down in the dive, released my bombs, pulled out at about couple of 100 feet, and I recall we were doing about 500 miles an hour at that point, and I just turned to the left, looked back at the target, and to see whether we'd hit the target. I don't remember what I saw. Anyway, my main object at that point was to use my speed to get altitude. And I pulled back and put the aircraft in a very steep climb at full throttle, and got back up to about 10,000 feet in just a few moments. And we reformed to start our trip home. And as we went south on our way home, my engine got intolerably hot. And I knew it wasn't going to last very long. So I called the section leader and said, look, I think I've had it. I don't think I can make it back to the Rhine, which was where about our line was at that time. If I could have got off the Rhine, I would have been able to get out of the aircraft and land in friendly territory. But as I couldn't do that, I told the leader that I guess I was going to have to jump. And I bailed, and he said, okay. And I bailed, I banked away to the right, and was intending to roll the aircraft over and drop out of it. But as I did so, I looked off to the right, and there was a beautiful stretch of fields. And I thought, son of a gun, that looks pretty inviting. I think I'll land there instead of jumping. I didn't like the idea of coming down in a parachute with fellows shooting at you. So I just headed for this string of fields. And the only problem was that when I went across the south end of them, I was a little high speed. And I was too anxious to get to them. And I remember glancing at my airspeed indicator, and I was doing 180. And I thought to myself, the only time I really thought quickly in my life was down at the far end of the fields were a row of trees. And I thought, well, I could glide over those trees and find a better spot and a lower speed on the other side. But I hadn't seen what was beyond. And I thought, gee, that's a bit risky. I don't know. It might just be rocks, boulders, or ditches or something. So I decided I'd better do the best with what I had. And I just eased the aircraft into the ground, did a beautiful landing. Just when I lost control of the aircraft as it ground into the plowed fields, I just put my hand over my on my arm, over the gun sight and rested my head on it. And the aircraft just slid along beautifully, came to a stop in the woods at the end of the field. So I was covered. I had cover right to start with. Nobody could see me from somewhere else on the ground. And I just got out, and that was it. So.
You called up and told me you were down safely.
Oh, I forgot about that. Bill just reminded me, yeah. I called up and said, hello there, Red One. I'm on the ground in one piece. And he said, good luck, Red 3. And I said, thanks, same to you. So, as it turned out, we had good luck. Anyway, that's it.
John Flintoff's storytelling had attracted a bit of a crowd in the museum. It was rare for a real live Typhoon pilot to tell a story here. There was a small reward of recognition here for a gracious John Flintoff.
I'm from Tennessee.
Are you Tennessee?
Tennessee, they make a good whiskey there.
Yeah.
But not as good now as they have in some of those places in Canada. But thank you on behalf of my generation.
Well,
we benefited from what you gentlemen have done.
It was a joint effort.
Well, I know it was.
It was a joint effort. There were a few of you guys that did damn well, too.